And make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to this video if you want more content like this. And leave a comment.
I don't know if this is a hot take. It probably isn't. Hopefully you guys agree with me, but is NIL ruining this? Not ruining it, because as a college basketball fan, it's still fun to watch. But like as a casual fan, you're not seeing as many upsets this year. I don't think it's going to get any better. And I don't remember it being like this last year. Maybe it was.
No, yeah, I feel like it kind of ruins it, honestly. Like, I feel like everybody's putting their money into, like, the big programs, and once they put their money in those big programs, like, you're not seeing your mid-majors, and that's kind of where I'm, like, upset at. I like to see a bunch of mid-majors get wins, go to the Sweet 16, go to the Final Four, you name it, but, yeah, we're just not seeing that this year.
I do think in the Sweet 16 we're going to see some crazy games, though, so that's a good point about it, but...
No, I agree. NIL is just messing up, not even just college basketball, but just college athletics in general. Perfect example, like Donovan Dent, he's a junior, and his team was just in the round of 32, 216, I forget. They're going to lose him. Like, he's their best player. He averages 20. They're going to lose him. Like, RJ Lewis may or may not go back to St. John's, but if NIL wasn't here, he'd definitely be back. So it's just like the continuity that left probably 10, 15 years ago when, one and dones were like really prevalent. But yeah, it's shattering it. Not even just for the mid majors, but even like high majors don't have the depth and everything anymore. So yeah, I agree. It's definitely growing.
I don't agree. We just saw multiple teams last year, like especially like NC State. I know they're a Power 5 conference, but like there's still like Cinderella runs. There's still people like 1 year is not about to change this. Like, I think it's getting blown out of proportion. We all knew going into this tournament that it was probably going to be chalk. It was a top-heavy year. People kept relating it to 2008, and there was another chalk year. 2015, where like the only Cinderella run came from Michigan State and Tom Izzo, who were like a 7 seed that got to the Final Four. But I think this just makes the opportunity even better for those mid-majors. Like, the coaches move all the time. Now the players move. You get to these big tournaments, and now you have a chance to play against teams in the Power 5. I feel like that makes you go a little bit more harder. Like, if you have a big showing in the tournament as a team, everyone eats, so everyone gets to move. I mean, it probably shatters it in the sense that, like, if your mid-major goes far in the tournament, but I think this was the same even before the transfer portal opened like it did, your coach is already going to leave. Your coach gets to a Final Four, or your coach upsets a big team in the tournament, your coach is gone. Your coach is moving on to a A10 or whatever, depends on your conference. But like, it's good that some of these mid-major players get to move with their coach. Like, a bunch of the players from Colorado State are probably going to Minnesota. A bunch of players from whatever, like VCU, are probably going with Odom to Virginia. Just depends with because I know Virginia has a academic standard, but I don't think it's ruining it to the sense like we're not going to see any mid-majors make it to the Sweet 16. Like, Colorado State was 3 seconds away from going to Sweet 16. They just, Derek Queen just made the game-winning shot. Now, if you want to say he traveled or not, I don't really agree with that. I'm glad that they didn't call that. And then New Mexico was up 10. I mean, Michigan State's been doing that all year where they come back, but New Mexico was up in that game, and it was a close game. And then Michigan State just showed their championship pedigree and won the game. So I don't really think that's a problem.
I was just going to say, too, like, to add to Mike's point, the transfer portal in general, NIL, everything included, like, players are getting actively recruited. Like, Scottie Pippen Jr., his brother, he literally just entered the transfer portal, and his team is still playing. Like, that's clearly a money grab. Maybe it was happening before and it just was under the table. Who knows? But that stuff being public is not good for the sport. It's just simply not. You're going to lose viewership. Gambling is another big thing, too, that's kind of ruining everything. I know that's kind of off topic with NIL, but all of that together is kind of ruining the March Madness. Now, I will say this one had a lot of publicity, and it is very chalk and top heavy, so a lot of the big fan bases are still locked in. But I definitely do feel like a lot of that stuff is they're going to have to tighten this thing up to where we have some type of continuity and we have some type of understanding on what canon, because you should not be able to recruit somebody's players when they're in fucking March Madness. Like, that doesn't even make sense. So, and last point, to James's point, yeah, coaches have been leaving. Like when Shaka, he got offered $3 million from Marquette or Texas, the year right after they won the tournament, and he stayed. But I think it's more so on the players. Like the coaches have always left. But even when VCU won, besides the seniors, they retained a bunch of that roster that came back the next year. A lot of the Cinderella teams kind of retained the players. Now it's like, all right, I scored 25, 2 games in a row. Now I got $500,000 waiting on me at UCLA, or vice versa. So it's like, I don't know. It's twofold. So I want the players to get played. It's just like a thin line. So I don't really know.
I think if you don't have to, when Shaka did that, you didn't have to wait a year. I mean, you had to wait a year before you could leave. So it's like, am I really about to sit out a whole year of playing basketball just to transfer to a Power 5 school? Now I can just move to a Power 5 school if they deem ready. And like, that would help your draft stock. It's like, all right, well, I killed that to A10. Let me go to the SEC. So I think that would have been a problem regardless if there was no NIL or not, if you could just move whenever. But as to Pippen's joint, Pippen doesn't play.
Yeah, he doesn't play anyway.
Yeah, go in the portal, dude. This is not a money grab. You just don't play.
Right. But
I think that the portal shouldn't start until after the season's over. I feel like that's the problem there.
Yeah.
No, Pippen, but regardless, you shouldn't even be able to contact my players. If you have a team and I have a team, Mike should not be able to contact any of our players during the season. Like, that should be off limits. That's like legitimately tampering. That should be off limits. It's not. It's clearly not. Like, the shit is clearly happening. So there should be some type of fine, some type of ramifications on what should be able to flow. That is not okay. That should not. It is okay as the way like the rules are set now. That should not be okay. And it was happening under the table, and you can't stop illegal things in life, period. So I understand that. But for the thing to just be blatantly, he's in the Sweet 16 and coaches are hitting him up, trying to get him, that's not okay. That's not okay.
I don't know if coaches were hitting up. He just doesn't play.
So why not?
He doesn't play a minute for that team. Like, he doesn't.
Why not just
DNP all year?
There's no way that he is just randomly going right now. People have been
People do that. People do that in football.
When? During the season?
When Texas was in, when Texas, for a prime example, when Texas was going to the playoffs, what's our boy? He was a wide receiver and he didn't play. Yes, and he went in the transfer portal
because he got in trouble with the law and they kicked him off the team.
But there's multiple people like that, players from Georgia, players from everywhere that do that. It's just the transfer portal is open right now. I'm gonna leave. Like, why am I staying with a team that I don't play for?
But what I'm saying is, you're not going to enter the transfer portal if you haven't at least talked to somebody. Like, you're not just throwing your name out if you're playing 0 minutes. You just told me Scottie Pippen DNPs. There's no film on you. So what the fuck am I? You're not getting offered any money or nothing like that. So like, what am I leaving for? What am I leaving now for? I can get the same opportunities a month from now. When that's what we were saying. There's no point of him for leaving, but like, no one's like, they probably do have his high school tape, but like, he was leaving regardless. Might as well just start the process early if you don't like your coach that much.
But that's your team loses.
I feel like you need to put parameters around the thing. And yeah, that's one case of a guy that just doesn't really play, even though I'm 95% sure that coaches have reached out. But you have to have some type of parameters about it. And if you let one little thing slide, then everybody going to try to get the bigger things to slide, the bigger players to slide. So Jonte Cook, he got in trouble. So, and he got kicked off the team for not following team rules or something like that. And that type of instance, all right, like, he's literally not even on the team anymore. But if Jonte Cook was actually playing, he just wasn't playing as much as he would have liked. But I guess I see both sides.